So look, it's my great pleasure to introduce Ash Watt. Ash is someone that I've worked with for about the last, coming up to 2 years now. And the quick backstory is that Upper Hunter Shire Council and Muswellbrook Shire Council decided to embark on a program which is called the We Live Here card. And it's Ash's organisation that he started in Narrabri about 2006-07, thereabouts. So this is a great success story of a small business. I shared with you a stat early on that there's been over $400,000 put back into the Upper Hunter local economy through this gift card program. There's in fact been over $600,000 loaded onto these cards. So Ash is going to give you an insight in terms of the background of this program. He works with a number of organisations which are community-based organisations, other local councils across the country. And it is a fantastic story. So it's my pleasure to introduce you to Mr. Ash Watt. Thank you.
Thank you, David, and thank you for coming out today. I was quite pleased. I looked back, I presented back in Scone, it was possibly 18 months ago, I think it was after our first 3 months of the program after it launched. The program was originally launched here in this area in response to drought relief. So I think it's 18 months later, and I'm coming presenting again. It's pouring down rain, and it rained the whole way from Narrabri as well. So it was definitely a pleasure to do that. I'm going to keep it short and sharp today. I thought I'd just give you a bit of an update from, I guess, from Waileave Town's point of view. We've been pretty active over the last 6 to 12 months. The shop local conversation is pretty rampant at the moment, and we're seeing lots of growth in our business because of that. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that to start with. Then I'm just going to give you a bit of an update of the We Live Here program. David's already shared some of the stats already, but I'll take you through some of the more detailed ones. And for those businesses that are part of the program already, a little bit of advice about how you can get the most out of it. But to kick things off, I just thought I'd introduce myself a little bit more. I'm Narrabri born and bred, so a country boy at heart. I spent several years in Sydney as a market researcher and was able to make my way to Adelaide, then back to Narrabri, where I now live with my wife and 4 kids. So I had to be very close to the grandparents when you're going to have 4 kids, so that was a pretty important one. So yeah, spent many years in market research, operating out of an office in Narrabri, which I was quite lucky to be having a city job but living in the bush. My boss for a number of years was in the UK, so it didn't really matter that I wasn't in Sydney or any place like that. So I did mainly a lot of work in shopper behaviour and tracking research, looking at how things change over time, in particular working with big supermarkets to understand what aisles people would walk down first, what products will drive people back to purchase. So I did that for a number of years, but as David said, we started Waileave Town, myself and my business partner, back in around about 2006, 2007, and it was mainly a bit of a hobby job, a hobby to start with, because we're just very passionate about our local area and we wanted to put something back into the community. That evolved quite a lot, and we now do our gift cards across 50 odd places across Australia. And so my full-time job now is working in the shop local space. I've written a book in the last couple of years as well on this particular subject, and I now do a lot of work with over 3,000 businesses in our program, and I said across those different markets that we operate in as well. So Waileave Town, we basically try and encourage people to shop local. How can we get more money into local businesses? And we do that a number of different ways, but our main way we do that now is through our gift cards. We've tried to promote, I guess, lots of other different things in the past, but we've found most communities like to go back to the gift cards. I think it's because they're very tangible and they work. So that's where people like to start, rather than I would like to start a campaign and do all these other things beforehand, but most of the time people just want to get right to that tangible product. And I think that's because it is so tangible is why it's worked and been so successful. What we do, I guess, a lot now is trying to find other providers who will help local businesses thrive, and we try and join the dots with those people from those providers and the businesses we work through our gift card program. So as I've mentioned a couple of times now, we operate in over 50 places across Australia. You can see here sort of a bit of a map of where they are, a lot in New South Wales and central New South Wales. several up in Queensland, a couple down in Tassie. About here on the map, you can't see, we just launched in Perth as well, and rapidly expanding across those places. So across about 150 postcodes around Australia, and it's pretty much growing on a daily basis at the moment. To just give us a bit of an idea of that growth, if you look at where we started back in September 2010 with our gift cards, we were in Narrabri to start with, and then slowly grew into other towns. And at the start of 2017, we were on around about 14 different programs across Australia. At the start of this year, we're in 26 programs, I think it is. And then in the last 12 months, we've had 29 programs join with our gift cards. I'm not sort of showing all this to say how good's Wiley Town, but more importantly, just to prove the point that the shop local conversation is trending rapidly at the moment, and all of our stats, and having worked in this space for a long time, trying to promote people to shop local, and it was a lot of hard yards here in these early days. The conversation has shifted dramatically in the last 12 months, and shop local is definitely a buzzword at the moment. Lots of different things popping up, and we've seen the results for our business on the back of that. Even to show you, I guess, some of our growth in terms of the number of cards and the value of the cards we've gone through. So in total, we've had about $8 million go through our program, and $4 million of that has been in the last 12 months. So a long, hard slog for 10 years to then see, I guess, a lot of that coming through. And even in our original market, Narrabri, we've done about $800,000 through the program. Over 10 years, $400,000 of that is in the last 12 months. So everything in the last 12 months has been fairly hectic. And again, a good ride to be on in one extent. And for me, I guess it's been very rewarding to see people finally start to think, yes, we need to support those around us. We can't operate the way we used to. We can't just always purchase outside of town. We can't just jump online all the time and buy things overseas. We need to look around us and support those businesses around us. One of the things that has really helped, I guess, change this whole dynamic, from my perspective, it changed around about 2 years ago, and it started with a lot of communities across Australia going through drought. The We Live Here program, as I said before, started on the back of how can we actually get more money into local businesses to support them through the drought period. And we saw lots of sort of growth where people saying, okay, we need to support our community. One of the ways that our program has been so effective is it's another way that you can inject money through recovery and relief efforts. So rather than just give a farmer, for example, $500 and he can then go spend that $500 how he sees fit, you can give him a $500 gift card and he has to then spend that money back in local businesses. So it multiplies the impact. And I often talk about the multiplier effect, and there's no rocket science, I guess, in terms of the figures, but in a lot of the research I've done in terms of this space, I've sort of landed in this spot that basically $100 spent locally will ultimately have an $180 impact to the local economy. Now that shifts with all sorts of things. It's not an absolute formula, because some places are owned locally or owned by someone not local, and it can shift all the figures around. But that's basically where I landed. So all these things have been really effective for drought relief. At the start of this year, bushfires as well. And now more recently with COVID, we're having lots of communities use our gift card program to try and inject some money and spur on the local economy through our gift cards. So now just jumping down into the We Live Here program. As we said before, it launched about 2 years ago, around about this time 2 years ago, and we had a pretty big launch period, and we had lots of businesses come on quite early, which I think has helped the success of the program, and we had some pretty big numbers come through it. The last time I presented in Scone, I think we had just gone through the first 3 months of the program, and about 100,000 had gone through that first 3 months. To look where we are today, two years down the track, we're just about to hit the $600,000 mark through the program. So that's $600 worth of loaded cards that have to be spent in the 230 plus businesses in this local area. And as David said, around about 440,000 of that has been spent already. And you can see here the actual trend of that growth. And we had a massive Christmas period last year. I think December alone was around about 170,000 was spent, was loaded up in cards. And I think that's the highest month we've seen across all our programs. in a single month, which is a great result. In terms of some of the other stats, so we've got the 230 odd businesses, 190 of those have had at least one redemption, so at least one person has come in with one of these cards and has spent money back in. So that's, again, a pretty good hit rate out of the 230 businesses. Remembering too that some of those businesses don't necessarily lend themselves to a normal sort of gift card program or a gift card sort of offer. And so to have 190 businesses get some sort of benefit out of it is I think, a tremendous result. 156 of those businesses have had at least $100 go through the program. And then working our way down, 98 businesses have had at least $500 go through it. 74 with over at least $1,000, and then 29 with over $3,000. This is the direct benefit from the program to these businesses. However, I guess the main thing with this is that any money spent locally is a good result, and that's the way I guess I always promote that although it's great to see these direct figures, and some businesses may say, oh, I haven't seen any of this money from the We Live Here program, but as long as the money is spent local, then obviously it's going to benefit the entire community. So the main thing is we just want to see lots of cards loaded up and spent somewhere in the community, because that's just going to benefit everyone. I guess if you want to take any negative out of the program, is we've had $600,000 loaded up, and only the 400 or approaching 600,000, and the 440,000 of it has only been spent so far. And so it means there is about 140,000 sitting out there in this pool of funds that we need to get out of people's wallets and into the local businesses. So I thought I'd just spend a little bit of time on digging a little bit deeper into that money to say, okay, well, first of all, what does it actually look like? Is it 130,000 which was loaded up 2 years ago that has been sitting there, it's lost under a couch, or is it something different? And then what can we do to actually get more people spending this money? So first off, I just want to make the point though that Waileave Town makes no profit from this unspent money. I guess when we first started the program 10 plus years ago, we noticed it on a current affair. They like to run a story every 6 months or so about gift cards and how the money expires, and there's big businesses profiting from that. The brand Waileave Town is all about keeping money locally, so we didn't want to actually be profiting from people not using the cards. It becomes a bit of a disincentive, I think, for us as well in promoting people to use the cards if we're going to profit from them not using it. So what we do, all the money that goes into the cards, if there's any money left over after the 3 years, 25% of that currently goes to our card issuer. The other 75% goes back to the council. So the Upper Hunter Shire and Muswellbrook Shire councils will receive that money that they can then put back into the program or use how they see fit. That 25% that goes to our card issuer when we first started was the other way around. So our card issuer used to get 75%, and we would only have the 25% to distribute to obviously the organisations that we deal with. But over time, we've been able to negotiate that down as our volumes increase. Eventually, one day, we'll have that to 100%. We're holding off doing it at the moment because that's just going to increase the cost of the card. So we're trying to keep that down. So at the moment, it's a nice balance. So I just wanted to make that point up front. The next point is that, I guess on the glass half full, is that the 76% of the funds that have been loaded up have already been spent, which is still a pretty good result so far. So of that 600,000, we've got 76% has been spent in local businesses already. Now, 81% of the funds that I just mentioned has been loaded up in the last 12 months. So that's about $110,000 has been loaded up in the last 12 months. So it's still pretty fresh, I guess, in terms of that. So even in the last two or three months, we've had about $30,000 or $40,000 loaded up through the program that is sitting in that pool. So I'm less concerned, I guess, about that money. I'm more concerned about the money that was loaded up 2 years ago to make sure those people in the next 12 months are out spending that money. A few other stats that we ran that on average, around about 50% of all funds will be spent within 3 months of the card being loaded up. So that's when we see these big spikes in cards loaded up, that first 3 months is a critical time for getting a fairly big chunk of those funds spent. And then in the first 6 months, we get up to around about 70% of those funds are spent. And then after 12 months, we go up to 80% of the funds are spent. So what we're seeing at the moment is there is still a fairly big chunk of money that's been spent quite quickly, which is great. And most of the money which is sitting in that 140,000 is money that's just been loaded up more recently. So I said I'm less concerned with that at the moment. However, in saying that, there is obviously money sitting there, and I guess it's a pretty big carrot for local businesses to be promoting the fact that they're a part of the program, and so they can actually get some of that money, and we can, as I said, get it out of people's wallets and into those local businesses. So how are we going to do that? So first of all, I think we need to make sure that if you're a part of the program, you need to let people know that you're a part of the program. Actively promoting that you accept the We Live Here cards is the first step. You're not going to have too many customers sort of asking you if they can use the card. You need to be telling them that you accept the card, and doing that on your social media, or doing it in your in-store, on your websites, any place you've got a place to tell people about it, then you should be doing it. And so we do a lot of, I guess, macro level posts through Wildlife Town. So if you're interacting with our site, again, it's one way that you can communicate to customers that you accept the cards. And we post a lot of generic sort of content that you can then share on to let people know that you accept the cards. I think it's also important to talk to your customers about the program. It helps grow the program in general, but also, again, just reminds them that you accept the cards. So that could be face-to-face when people are in there with their buying something. You can ask them if they've got a We Live Here card, and if they want to use that card. It might be a good opportunity to upsell some of the customers as well, because they're buying something for $50 and they realise they've got a $70 card in their wallet, and that's a good opportunity for them to spend a little bit more money in your store. But also through other marketing. So we've had a lot of businesses in some of our other markets send out direct flyers to their customers to say, we accept the Wildlife Town card, and so make sure if you've got one left over from Christmas, for example, come in and we can sort you out with all our great products, and you can pay for it this way. So then again, any opportunity you get to tell people, I would suggest doing it. Either just putting it in any of your print media, for example, either a simple little picture or a line at the bottom of that ad saying you accept the cards can be a big help. I think another way of doing it is actually then offering some sort of incentive for people to use the cards. So offering discounts. Some of our businesses have done this. So if you're going to come in, we know you've got cards, we know there's a big chunk of money out there, come in and use one of these cards. We're going to offer 10% off this week, or we're going to get a 2-for-1 deal, whatever it is. Any of your specials, you can incorporate the card into that to, again, just attract more people in to use the cards. And finally, I guess one of the things we're developing at the moment, which we'll be introducing in 2021, is business level reporting. So at the moment, we report back to the council all those stats I showed you before. We provide those on a monthly basis. We're currently developing an online portal where businesses can log in, see the actual results of the program for their particular business, to see how much has been coming through the program into their store, but then also a few other stats that they can use it. So if you know that 70% of the time someone is coming into your store and they're making a $50 purchase, but they normally on average have a $70 card, it might be an opportunity for you to put some $20 items around point of sale if you know that sort of information. So the whole idea of the business level reporting will be give the businesses more access to information they can use to help promote the program, and also promote more spending of the program in their store. Overall, I guess the more you're involved in the program, the more you're going to get out of it. It's with most things. So I think, the more you can interact with what Wildlife Town does socially, feel free to give myself or Reese a call, or our team back in Narrabri as well. If you've got any problems with the program, or if you want ideas how you can promote it more, we've got lots of generic content that we can alter to help you out as well. We're just showcasing a lot of businesses at the moment. So if you've got content, it becomes very easy if you send that through to us, and we're more than happy to share it through our site, and to help give you a bit of a boost in the program as well. That was pretty much it that I wanted to go through today. So far, I think the program has been, it's one of our leading programs across those 50-odd places that we operate in. We've been very proud of what's happened here in this area with the program. We've got, I guess there's several programs at the moment that are up on those really high sort of figures, and I guess we're trying to get a bit of competition going on across some of our programs as well, to see who can hit that $1 million mark first. And this is obviously one of the places where that could be a possibility. And look, it's in one sense it's early days, but we've seen a really good start, and we're obviously going to be here to work with businesses and the council to hopefully improve it. And I'd love to be back here another 18 months talking about maybe 1 or 2 million go through the program by then. So again, thank you for your time.
of all the programs that you launched across all of the local councils and community services groups, which to date is the most successful?
Well, success can be judged several different ways, but I would say in terms of first 12 months and possibly first 2 years, the We Live Here program has been the most successful in that regard. To turn over figures of 600,000 in 2 years, I said when you put that into context, like Narrabri is a hard one to gauge because it's been our test market since day one, but Narrabri is our leading program in terms of figures, and it's at 800,000 over 10 years. Yes, we've had 400,000 through the last 12 months, but to do 600,000 in 2 years, I think is an awesome result. At the moment, it's the leading program in terms of number of businesses. With 230, we've got several places launching at the moment. Mid Coast New South Wales been one who has got their eye on that prize, and it's been a really good carrot to put in front of other programs. And 170,000 through the program in 1 month. That's again is an incredible result. And I think the closest is possibly around about 150, 140,000 in a single month. So there's at least 3 or 4 measures there I think you can claim.
Okay, it was a leading question. So, now look, we've really enjoyed the partnership working with Ash and the team, and again, it's another fantastic example of an idea that seemed like a good thing at the time and has continued to grow and to flourish. So, we look forward to continuing the partnership with Ash.